Hello and welcome to New York's Penn Station. Today we're traveling to our neighbors to the north, riding on Amtrak's Adirondack to Montreal. This is one of Amtrak's longest and most unusual journeys across the Northeast. Over the next 12 hours, we'll follow the Hudson River north from New York, cross the Adirondacks, trace the shores of Lake Champlain, and eventually cross an international border into Canada. But this journey isn't without its challenges. We've got a nearly 2-hour customs stop at the border, an aging fleet, and more than 380 miles of track between us and Montreal. So what is it actually like to spend an entire day heading to Canada by train? Let's find out aboard Amtrak's Adirondack. Our journey begins at the heart of rail travel in the United States, New York's Penn Station and Amtrak's Moynihan Train Hall. Located within the former Farley Post Office building, Moynihan serves as the main departure hall for Amtrak trains across the Northeast Corridor in eastern United States. Heading inside, we're greeted by the enormous hall and gorgeous skylight above. The Moynihan complex covers a total of 31,000 square feet, serving tracks 5 through 16. We're traveling today on Train 69, the Adirondack, heading north to the Canadian border and onward to Montreal. We've got about an hour before departure, and with no seats in the main hall, where do we wait? Well, there's always the ticketed waiting area. Located on the north side of the hall, the waiting area is accessible to all ticketed passengers for both Amtrak and the LIRR. Now, while we're traveling in coach today, we'll be waiting somewhere a little more exclusive, Amtrak's Metropolitan Lounge. Access to lounges across the Northeast is granted to passengers with same-day first class or sleeper accommodations, Amtrak Select Plus, and Select Executive Rewards members. We fall into the latter category, our status getting us inside. And really, we only had that status because of y'all. I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere close to the threshold if it wasn't for your continued support on all the Amtrak content. So today, I raise a glass to y'all. A glass of coffee, of course. And while we're doing all the thanking, I just want to say thank you for 60,000 subscribers. The continued support has been amazing over the past 5 years, and I cannot believe we've made it this far. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and here's to the next 60,000. The New York Lounge is the only lounge to have been fully refurbished, with improved seating, amenities, and most importantly, a fully staffed snack bar. Options include yogurt, eggs, oats, and pastries for breakfast, and salads, sandwiches, and wraps for lunch and dinner, plus a large selection of sodas, juice, and coffee. For breakfast today, I went with the overnight oats, a chocolate croissant, and a glass of cold brew coffee. A perfect way to start the day, and one I only have y'all to thank for. The first boarding call comes about 25 minutes prior to departure. For passengers boarding the Adirondack bound for Canada, they need both a passport and a physical boarding pass. Physical boarding passes can be printed at an Amtrak kiosk or by a member of staff at the ticket office or Met Lounge check-in desk. Our boarding pass and passport are both checked by a member of staff, the former stamped with Canada, hence the need for a physical pass. We're also given a couple bag tags, as all carry-ons must be tagged to head over the border. Descending to track level, we meet the Adirondack. Our train today is operated by a set of Amfleet 1s with a cafe car in the middle. We're pointed to one of the 2 rear cars and can get settled in for the ride ahead. The last passengers board and Train 69 departs New York. We'll start out heading north out of New York and up the Hudson River Valley. We cruise through Poughkeepsie and Hudson, hitting 110 miles per hour before our first longer stop in Albany. Our train swaps locomotives and then continues north, entering the train's namesake, the Adirondack Mountains. We meet the southern finger of Lake Champlain, the thin tendril turning to a vast blue expanse through Port Henry and Plattsburgh. Arriving at the border, customs agents board the train to complete the immigration inspection, the hold lasting about 2 hours. We head north and then west towards Montreal, crossing the St. Lawrence River into the city limits and Montreal Gare Centrale at the end of the line. We'll cover a total of 381 miles on our ride today, with a travel time of 12 hours and 1 minute. While we need a passport for today's journey, something that people often forget when traveling abroad is cellular data. We all use our phones for everything from communication to research to navigation, and without cell data, any trip can go south at a moment's notice. But that's where today's sponsor, Olafly, comes to the rescue. Olafly is the perfect place to look for your holiday eSIM plan. Olafly offers over 200 destinations with unlimited data plans and monthly plans for over 160 destinations. Olafly offers peace of mind with no hidden costs, 24/7 support, and a 6-month refund policy. And should your travel plans change at the last minute, Olafly has you covered with their new always-on 1GB global monthly backup. Flight delayed, long layover in a new country, urgent situation where you need data, the 1GB backup is always there for you, ensuring you have data whenever you need it. Get your eSIM today by clicking the link below and use code LONESTAR for 5% off on eSIMs and 10% off on Olafly plans for the first 12 months. Start exploring the world with data freedom. Thanks to Olafly for sponsoring today's video, and now back to our journey. We emerge from the tunnels of the Empire Connection north of 123rd Street. The cloud cover we saw in the city remains overhead, casting a dull gray over the landscapes of the Hudson River Valley. But we need not wait long as those clouds soon disperse. The Tappan Zee Bridge flies overhead, the Hudson River showing off its best angles as we cruise up the commuter corridor. The Catskill Mountains emerge from beyond the banks, the horizon pushed upwards by the ground's advances. Approaching Albany, our train reaches the first of 2 segments of higher speed rail, allowing us to reach 110 miles per hour. It's only a brief stint at a little over 16.5 miles, our train slowing for our stop in Albany. Albany is the first and only smoke stop on the Adirondack, and the point where we swap locomotives. From New York to Albany, the Adirondack operates sandwiched between 2 locomotives, a P42 diesel on the front and a P32 dual mode on the rear. The P32 can produce traction from either its onboard diesel engine or from a third rail pickup on the rear bogie. The third rail electric power allows these locomotives to comply with the restriction of diesel operations in either of the 2 New York termini. Once in Albany, the P32 is pulled off the rear of the train, the Adirondack continuing on with the lead P42 for power. The stop here in Albany is scheduled for about 50 minutes, which leaves plenty of time to head up into the station. The station features a vaulted waiting area surrounded by a cafe, ticket desk, shop, and a post office. Ticketed passengers can come and go freely, so don't feel the need to wait until boarding to head back to the train. Back aboard, train 69 departs, turning west to cross the Hudson River. Construction work is in full swing on the new Livingston Avenue rail bridge. The new bridge will be built to support taller and wider loads and allow 2 trains to cross at once, improving throughput in and out of Albany. Turning our attention inwards, let's take a look at what we're working with for the next 9 hours to Montreal. As we saw when boarding, the Adirondack is operated by a set of Amfleet 1 intercity cars with a cafe car in the middle. Seating is the standard Amtrak 2x2. About a foot of legroom, space beneath the next row, a seatback pocket, and tray table are all on offer for each passenger. There's reading lights above and outlets beside each row, the former built into the luggage racks overhead. seats recline through the button in each armrest, each seat leaning back about 15 to 20 degrees. While Amtrak replaced all Amfleet 1 upholstery many years ago, the new vinyl seat covers are starting to stretch and warp, with distinct distortion visible around the headrests. While the seats are comfortable for a route this long, an Amfleet 2 with its larger long-distance seats would have been amazing. The Adirondack used to run with Amfleet 2s, but the introduction of the Floridian saw the route change to Amfleet 1s, freeing up the cars to use on a proper long-distance train. The rest of the car is pretty lackluster. The only other amenities are 2 bathrooms, a luggage rack, and accessible seating found at the rear of today's car. It's approaching lunchtime here on the Adirondack, and what better place to grab a bite to eat than the cafe? The cafe car is quiet, having just reopened upon departure from Albany. Here you'll find a few tables on either end with a bar in the middle. The Wi-Fi antenna is also located in the cafe, so if you're looking for the strongest signal, the cafe is the place to be. Anyway, lunch on the Adirondack comes from Amtrak's Northeast Cafe menu, which offers a decent selection of cold sandwiches, salads, and hot meal choices. I went with the curry chickpea wrap and a Coke Zero, setting me back $13.50. For $10.50 of that, I was really expecting the wrap to be a little bigger, but that's what you get when you have a captive audience, mediocre portions. The flavor was okay at best. The curry flavor is incredibly mild and there's no real sauce, so some bites would just be lettuce and tortilla. Not great. And with no condiments besides the big 3 of mayo, mustard, and ketchup, there's nothing on offer to spice this up. I'll say it's serviceable and is a good enough meal choice for vegetarian and vegan travelers. Saratoga Springs is up next. A new high-level platform is under construction here, a part of Amtrak's ongoing efforts to improve accessibility and service quality across the country. Beyond Fort Edwards, the Champlain Canal begins its run by our side. The waterway feeds off of Lake Champlain, guiding us towards the immense body and stunning views farther north. What had been a collection of hills soon rise to become the namesake of our train, the Adirondack Mountains. We are on the very eastern edge of the mountain range, and ironically, all of the best views are towards the east, meaning we're not even looking at the Adirondacks. Instead, we're looking at the canal transforming into the bottom of Lake Champlain. And a great place to see that happen is from the window at the rear of the train. With the P-32 left in Albany, we've got an amazing viewpoint to enjoy the scenery of upstate New York. Finally, Lake Champlain emerges from behind the trees in all its glory. It's an absolutely stunning sight, like something landscape artists would use in a study on clouds. Reassuming our point at the end of the train, we watch as the tracks carve their way through cuttings on the descent back to water level. And hey look, it's our sister train, Amtrak 68. It's about this time when the crew comes through with the customs and immigration form. All passengers crossing into Canada are required to fill this out before arriving at the border. And here we are pulling into Rouse's Point, the final station in the US. Next stop, Canada. The border is just a few minutes up the rails. There's little fanfare for this border crossing. No sign welcoming us into Canada or bidding us farewell from the States, just a small monument with United States on one side and Canada on the other. And there's certainly no massive river crossing. We'll have to save that one for the Maple Leaf in a few weeks' time. The immigration process is pretty straightforward. I didn't film any of it out of respect for the process and officers, but here's what happened. Canadian border officials board the train and walk down the aisles. They'll check passports and immigration documents and ask a few questions, like who you are, what you do, and where you're headed. If everything lines up, they'll take your customs form, return your passport, and you're cleared into Canada. If they deem further screening is necessary, you'll deboard the train and head inside the facility. Don't worry if you're selected, the train won't leave without you. Once everyone's cleared, the Adirondack is free to continue into Canada. The stop took almost exactly 2 hours, a lot longer than I anticipated, but the timetable accounts for this, so don't worry about getting to Montreal later than expected. The final segment across Canada falls quite a ways short of the spectacular scenes of Lake Champlain. It's all flat and farmland beyond the tracks, suburbia soon upon us as we make our penultimate stop in Saint-Lambert. While the stop at the border was longer than anticipated, it does mean the final miles into Montreal fall right at sunset. Over the St. Lawrence River we go, Ile Notre-Dame and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve visible briefly before the cityscape takes over. We crawl our way through the city center, the Adirondack pulling to a halt at Montreal Gare Centrale at the end of the line. With our journey at an end, we can head up into the station where we'll bring today's video to a close. Next week, we're riding the railway to heaven. Well, kinda. We're heading to Pikes Peak. The highest railroad in North America and the 5th highest in the world will ascend to a peak of 14,111 feet. And we've got a front row seat to enjoy the ride. So come with me for a journey to the sky on America's Alpine Railway. Before we leave off, I just want to say another massive thank you for 60,000 subscribers. Each and every one of you is amazing, and I cannot thank you enough for the continued support over the past 5 years. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my loyal patrons and members. Y'all are amazing and your incredible generosity is greatly appreciated. If you too aren't naming the video or just want to support the channel in more ways than one, then head on over to the links in the description below. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.